This is Mike Spofford joining us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Our guy Spoff from Packers.com. Spoff, have you ever been to a Popeye's Chicken?
Only through the drive-through, I believe.
Well,
that counts. That
counts, yeah.
Absolutely counts, yeah.
I went to the Popeye's Chicken off of Mason and Taylor Street, which, by the way, just found out there's another location in Green Bay, Josh.
Oh, there's
no
two. Idea. Interesting.
Come to me for facts that are lies.
There you go.
First time ever. And Josh was like, how was that the first time ever you've been to a Popeye's? So we're wondering, Spoff, are there restaurants that you should have been to by now in your life that you haven't been to? Like, have you been to a Chick-fil-A?
Yes, I've been to a Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
Culver's?
Oh, yeah, Culver's for sure.
In-N-Out Burger?
I have not been to an In-N-Out Burger.
Okay.
That is one I have not been
There's
to
none
in my
here.
life.
That's why.
Right. I'll give you a pass on that. Are there any, though, that, like, stand out in your mind of places where you know you haven't been there, but it's just you're like, yeah, I know. I haven't had that yet. It's not that I'm against it. I've never gone there. I've never ate that food.
I've heard people talk about a place called Raising Cane's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have not been to one of those, but as much as I've heard people talk about it, I feel like I probably should frequent one at some point.
Yep.
I just saw an announcement that Raising Cane's is opening 6 more stores in Wisconsin sometime soon.
Okay.
We stopped at a Raising Cane's on the way home from our last road trip in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and it is phenomenal. Those are the greatest chicken tender finger things I've ever had.
Yeah, chicken tender finger things
with the sauce that's
a
unreal.
technical term.
You know what? We didn't
Mike.
We didn't invite the Packers.com guy to talk about. It's me just trying to get out of this.
What do you think he doesn't eat?
No, I think he does. Not as much as I do.
Fair.
All right, Spoff. It's on to Detroit. We barely had
the Packers eat on Thanksgiving in Detroit.
Ew.
There you go.
Turducken. So it's unfortunate that we have to move on from a solid victory against the Vikings, although they're dog you-know-what, on to the Lions, who we saw in week 1 when we looked, frankly, probably our best against a team that's worthy. Is this a make-or-break game? Let's start there for the Packers on Thanksgiving Day.
I mean, it's not a make-or-break game by any means, but I do think it becomes a lot harder to win the NFC North and become division champions if you don't win this game, because you will fall into third place in the division with a loss here, regardless of what happens with the Bears on Black Friday against the Eagles. And if you're sitting in third place, having 2 teams to jump over with only 5 games to go, that becomes a tough hill to climb to win the division. You do have 2 games left with the Bears, so your opportunity to get in front of the Bears is there. But if you lose this one to the Lions and you fall behind them, then, if you're going to win the division, it becomes, scoreboard watching and whatnot. And, so if you want to win the NFC North, or at least have a really, good chance and not just sort of the slim chance, then I say you got to go into Detroit and get this one.
Mike, obviously, Packers just winning is the answer to all of these questions. But taking that out of the equation, who do you think is less likely to have their season fall apart down the stretch here, the Bears or the Lions?
I would say the Lions, just because they're the seasoned team that has been there and done that. They've been in the playoffs the last couple of years, and I don't take anything away from the Bears. I know that they haven't beaten great teams and whatnot, and their schedule certainly gets a lot tougher here down the stretch. But the Bears are winning games, and they're proving that they're a crunch time team. When it comes down to the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, the Bears are, tough, and they're going to find a way to win most of the time. And that's a lot of times what it takes in this league. That being said, now the question is, can they do it against better teams, because their schedule gets tougher down the stretch? But the Lions, that's you don't go 15-2 like they did last year in this league. And, they got to the NFC Championship the year before. This is a bunch of guys that are battle tested for sure. And, the Lions are going to try to make a strong stretch run here, and they're going to look at Thursday against the Packers as what should be the start of that for them.
Mike Spofford, Packers.com, joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports on a Take Back Tuesday, Spoff, where typically, if we have regrets of things that flew out of our mouth in the last week, we like to take them back on Tuesday. And so we started the Take Back Tuesday segment in the 7 o'clock hour with, I wondered if people wanted to take back calling for Matt LaFleur to be fired. And by the end of that segment, I wasn't so certain I wanted to take it back anymore. So as we look at the success of the Packers and the success of Matt LaFleur, is there a chance in your mind, Spoff, that he makes the playoffs and still the Packers decide to move on? And we were led to believe that if the Packers don't make the playoffs, there's a high likelihood that the calling for Matt LaFleur's job is going to get really loud. But where do you stand on the whole, do wins fix all the problems? Is making the playoffs good enough for the Packers, or should we have expectations for more?
That's a really good question. I mean, and it's certainly the kind of thing that that Ed Policy, as the new president and CEO, is going to be looking at the end of the season when he evaluates everything. You know, obviously wins fix everything. If you make any kind of a run in the playoffs, I don't think anybody's talking about job security at all. With regard to, you know, if you make the playoffs but you don't win a game, that's where, you know, it gets kind of tough. And maybe that comes down to how does that playoff game look? Because last year, I know it was the Eagles and they eventually won the Super Bowl, but last year the Packers had 3 points on the board going into the fourth quarter in Philadelphia. You're not going to win any playoff games playing offense like that with the season on the line. So now that was last year, and the offense definitely went into a slump late last season, and it cost the Packers their season. Hopefully this year, the slump was in the middle of the season and things are going to start trending in the right direction offensively. And this Packers team can get into the playoffs and make a run and see where they stand. I mean, I think that's the hope that everybody has. And then if that doesn't happen, then in January, yeah, there's going to be a lot of discussion and a lot of talk swirling around about what might happen.
Mike, a lot of people have been talking about the expectations of Jordan Love and his level of play. I went on record saying that I think that Jordan Love doesn't have to have elite Hall of Fame quarterback-like play because he has a really good defense on the other side. And so he just has to play good enough to win. And yet a lot of people are saying that the way that he's playing isn't good enough to be what the Packers are expecting from him. Do you think that's a little bit of just Hall of Fame quarterback fatigue, or do you agree that for the Packers to make a big stretch, a good stretch down the road here, it all starts with Jordan Love? He has to play better.
I think in order to win a Super Bowl, your quarterback has to play in the playoffs. He needs to play at an elite level. And I think Jordan Love is capable of getting there and capable of doing that. And I think we've seen that in regular season games at certain times. I agree with you, Josh, that I don't think Jordan Love has to play at that level all the time for this Packers team to be successful, because this is a pretty good roster that's been built around him by Brian Gutekunst. This is a defense that this is the best defense personnel wise, I think, that the Packers have had in quite some time. I mean, when you add a guy like Micah Parsons to the mix of what was already a solid defense, and then you're hoping that you get to that elite defensive level, which again, we've seen that in stretches as well. I think for this Packers team, it all comes down to, you know, are they going to find their best football at the right time? And heading into last week, it was like, okay, 3 straight division games, Vikings and Lions and Bears. This is where you have to do it. And in game 1, they did it. The defense completely took over. The offense just only did what it needed to do. And now it's on to the Lions on a short week. And if they can continue to find that level of football, I think this team puts together a pretty good run.
Towards the end of the season here, we could have a lineup from the Packers that has Marshawn Lloyd, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and Josh Jacobs back in the lineup without losing, knock on wood, anybody else. That sounds like a lineup worthy of doing some things towards the end of the season and into the playoffs. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that I'm most interested to see the impact that he would have when he comes back is Jaden Reed, because you're talking about a guy that his first 2 seasons in the NFL, he was the leading receiver for Jordan Love in both 2023 and 2024. And he went out obviously early this season, week 2. We haven't seen him for a very long time. This is a dynamic receiver who can catch the underneath stuff and get yards after the catch. He can beat teams deep. How is this going to look pairing Jaden Reed with Christian Watson and Matthew Golden, getting all 3 of those guys and that level of speed on the field at the same time? It gives the offense a lot of options. And then if you have Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd, Emmanuel Wilson, multiple guys healthy in the backfield, this offense is primed to hit its stride. And if they can get everybody back healthy, then I like their chances.
One of the big factors that people have been talking about as well has been the O-line, and it's kind of been all over the place. And then you lost Tucker Kraft and what he added to the line as well. Where are your thoughts when you're analyzing this team just on the offensive line? Do you see it getting better, staying the same, then making more changes? To me, it's just kind of a question mark right now along the whole O-line.
Yeah, there's been so much shuffling around and dealing with injuries and platooning players, and you haven't had that one unit that has been able to settle in and play like week after week after week, right? Like that's what you want. And the irony in some respects is that's what the Packers had last year. They didn't have any injuries on the offensive line until the playoff game, and then Elgton Jenkins goes out and everything falls apart up front against that Eagles defensive front. And your season ends, partly because of one big injury on the offensive line. They've dealt with the injuries, the shuffling around. I think Sean Ryan, hopefully he can settle in at center as Jenkins' replacement. We saw Anthony Belton come in at right guard. He seems to maybe be taking over a little bit for Jordan Morgan at that spot. You're solid at the tackles with Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker. You've got 2 experienced guys there. Aaron Banks at left guard. He hasn't been healthy. He's been in and out of the lineup all year. If he can stay healthy and settle in to his position and what he's doing, hopefully it's a group that can start to develop some continuity here down the stretch. They haven't had it so far, but if you get it at the right time of the year, it can go a long way.
Mike Spofford from Packers.com joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Spoff, I know you travel with the team. You go to all of the games, home and away. What is travel like for the Packers on a holiday like this? You leave tomorrow for Detroit. You play Thursday. Are you back on Thursday in time to enjoy Thanksgiving, or do they hand you a turkey, mashed potato, green bean casserole meal as you get on the bus to head to the airport?
Well, they do give you some food for the plane if you want it on the ride back. Fortunately, I have a family that's very forgiving, and they're willing to wait for me to get back after the game. We're probably going to be getting back, I'm thinking, 6:30, 7 o'clock on Thursday night. So a little bit of a late Thanksgiving dinner, but, as long as everybody has enough snacks and stuff during the day, it works out. What I am bummed about, though, because I've covered this Thanksgiving game in Detroit several times, is that they moved it from 11:30 to noon for the kickoff. That early Thanksgiving game used to be 11:30. I'd get home a half an hour earlier than I'm going to this time. So dinner is just a little bit later. But if it comes with a Packers victory, then it's all good.
Yeah, every minute counts. Every minute counts on Thanksgiving.
on Turkey Day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Mike, we talked a little bit about what this game means for the Packers down the stretch. How do you see this game going specifically? What are the big things that the Packers need to focus on to beat a Lions team? Because the way that we felt after week 1, after beating the Lions, I do not think is how Packers fans are feeling going into the Thanksgiving game against that same Lions team.
Yeah, and the Lions have definitely, found a lot more of what they want to do offensively with. They had the new offensive coordinator back in week 1, and Dan Campbell as the head coach took over play calling a couple of weeks ago. And, when I look at this game defensively for the Packers, you got to find some way to contain Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, this guy is just scary. I mean, 264 yards from scrimmage, I think it was, against the Giants on Sunday. He had 2 long touchdown runs. He had another long run where he was pushed out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. I mean, this guy Gibbs is just a home run hitter. And, you know, unlike in baseball, when you can just intentionally walk the home run hitter and you don't have to face him for a couple more innings, you have to tackle Jahmyr Gibbs or he's going to make you pay every single time he's got the ball. So that really is the biggest key that sticks out in my mind defensively for Green Bay. On the offensive side, it's really just about it's about being efficient. The Lions are a defense that they like to take chances. They will, they'll call kind of the crazy blitz, or they'll, call some crazy coverages to try to, confuse the quarterback and get an interception, whatever the case might be. If they're gonna play, kind of that careless brand of defense, you have to be able to take advantage of it. The Giants did. The Giants put up over 500 yards against the Lions just a couple of days ago. So there's no reason to think that the Packers offense can't have a good day in Ford Field if they take advantage of what's there. You got to block Aiden Hutchinson. That's the one guy who can wreck everything. He was back, week 1. Aiden Hutchinson was back from the long layoff the previous year. It was his first game. He wasn't the same Aiden Hutchinson that he is now. He's a real challenge, but I think the Packers offense can have a really good day. It's just a question of, can the defense continue to play the way that it has against a much better offense, because this Lions group is going to be tough at home.
We appreciate you jumping on, Mike. Mike Spofford, Packers.com, writer, video, podcast host. You cook over there too?
No, I don't. I let others handle those.
He's been to Popeyes.
You ever been to Whataburger?
No, never been to Whataburger.
Me neither. I think there was one in Green Bay for a hot second. Is that
Was there?
Is that the one? Is that the New Kids on the Block guy? Is that what his Wahlburger? That's what his was.
Well, yeah, not the same.
There was one of those.
Not
here.
the same.
That didn't make it. Spoff, safe travels. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and go Pack, go, bud.
Yeah, you guys too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Happy
Mike.
Thanksgiving.
Chat soon.